can beat in a fight.
All right, chat. You hear that? What's the biggest animal you can beat in the chat? Not in a chat, in a fight. Let me know. Give it to me right now. What's the biggest animal you can beat in a fight? Let me know.
You ask that and you'll learn a whole lot in a short time. And in 2021, British firm YouGov did a survey. There's a lot to unpack here, but mostly the 6% of Americans that think they can handle...
Wait, these are the stats? 6% of Americans think they could beat a grizzly bear in a fight? 6%? These are like... I love how goose is on this list. Which of the following animals, if any, do you think you could beat in a fight if you were unarmed? 61% is a goose. I love how goose made the list. Are we all just terrified of them? Like, hello?
Without getting their existence abolished.
3, 2, 1,
go!
And that's how long it would take. Bears are inevitable enough to be one of the few animals I have a one-shot rule against. As in, if they're coming at me full force and I have one shot in the chamber...
I'd be terrified. If this thing was running at me full force, I'd be terrified. It'd be all over for me.
To self-medicate my exit off the mortal coil. I might not survive a hippo attack, but I'm for sure not surviving my reaction to one. I'll same-day ship myself to the Lord's door before I let a chimp handle me, and I'll self-subtract with the quickness before a bear makes me part of its business. Bears are the most conceptually inconsiderate creatures in nature. Basically a giant unhinged dog with every possible attribute matched.
It is a giant unhinged dog though, wait!
Predator that can out everything you and just let the rest of the population deal with it. But what's the most dangerous bear actually?
That's the perfect name for it.
Every breed of bear and its chances of putting you
1,
on
2, 3,
a
4,
shirt.
5.
Each
All 5
bear
of them
will get a Merc rating. Merc standing for might eviscerate, ravage, or just cancel you. Yeah, that's
bro. They're all gonna be high ratings, surely, right? Well, the black bear.
As always, each
like the black bear won mad. Yes, I don't actually know anything about sun bears.
Gladiator. Either way, we are going down to bear hole.
Oh, bear.
Starting with the sun bear, named after the thing he spent.
Oh, perfect. We're starting off sun bears first.
I stared at the void, and the void blinked first. And yes, they're built like they barely qualify to be here. He looks like a bear with crippling social anxiety that got told to act natural. They were recently involved in a controversy.
Did you guys see like? Yeah, I was like, he's going to talk about it right here. I don't want to spoil it for you because I think he's going to talk about it.
In China, the controversy was nobody believed that wasn't a man in costume. To be fair, they're easily the least.
Can you imagine thinking you go to the zoo and there's a man in costume dressed up as a bear? Just because of the way the bear looks.
Coated Ursus out there. They're the smallest in the world at no heavier than $140. And be honest, how long would it take for you to guess that foot was attached?
They're so small.
Those bare feet help them climb trees.
$140?
Some bears are the most tree climbing of them all. But how dangerous is this identity crisis? Well, they're shy, reclusive, and mostly eat fruits and plants.
Surely that's like tiny for a bear.
And they share real estate with tigers. Sun bears are known to attack people when caught off guard. And
makes you think of Winnie the Pooh.
They can easily get jump scared by humans. They also have one of the strongest bite forces relative to body size of any bear.
What the fuck fact? Some bears are the smallest bears in the world but have the same size teeth as polar bears? Why?
Probably only because they use teeth to rip through tree bark. There was even one case where a sun bear tiger showdown ended up with both of them.
They're real. They are real.
So what could they do to a human? Well, from 2000 to 2010, there were 33 sun bear attacks on humans, with the most common injuries being facial. But all the attacks were accidental encounters where the sun bears would probably argue self-defense. And to my knowledge, there are no recorded cases of a sun bear killing a person.
Like, get out of
with
here.
No body count and being the smallest, but also being neurotic enough to be a threat, I'll give the sun bear a Merc rating of 5. Next, you have the Andean, also known as the spectacled bear. For obvious reasons. On paper, he's the biggest land predator in that part of South America. Only technically, because only 5% of Four Eyes' diet is meat. Like the sun bear,
he looks really pretty though. Anyone else think he's pretty? Hello, gamer.
Spectacle is very tree climbing, and they'll even build their version of a treehouse to sleep in.
Sun bears are the worst bear. Well, I think they're going in order, and some bear just got 5, so I think he is the worst bear. If they are going in order, I'm not sure if they are or not though.
We have a choice when your hall monitor's a jaguar, but don't think Buddy's sweet because he got glasses. They've been known to take out llamas, cows, and even tapirs twice their size. But how dangerous are they to people? Well, in 2004, an Andean bear escaped from a Berlin zoo and made a beeline for the children's area. What followed was one of the most gruesome displays ever caught on camera.
Oh, so they can be gruesome.
Apparently, the spectacled bear only has one human body on his record, and technically it was a hunter who shot the bear out of a tree only for the bear to land on him.
Wait,
I'm sorry, but if you fail,
he made a beeline when he got free just to play with a bicycle. This bear really said, "Oh, what is this contraption? I must know." That's wild that they only have one human.
To get packed up by Paddington, and yes, Paddington was indeed a spectacle. Spectacles are also the closest living relative
Paddington.
Yeah. the short-faced bear. Oh,
He knows
the
what he
duality.
wants.
But considering the only casualty was more to slapstick than a homicidal bear, I give the spectacled beast a Merc rating of 2. And now we're at the panda portion,
Of 2.
which might confuse some since there's a genuine corner of the internet that'll tell you that pandas aren't actually bears. Those who don't believe China has an obese biracial gerbil.
Thank you,
waddling
Arbiter.
around. To be fair, being a bear but
Thank you
identifying
so
as
much.
a bamboo processing plant is a question.
You don't have to do him like that. A bamboo processing plant. Bro. The poor panda bear.
Life choice. But one, bamboo is so protein packed that Ursus Oreo actually ends up getting just as much as wolves and feral cats. And 2, binging bamboo all day means pandas actually have one of the strongest bite forces of any land mammal.
Yeah, but
Wild
they
pandas
don't
usually
use
avoid
it.
people, and there's currently no record of a plus-size eyeshadow cotton ball killing a human. But pandas will 100% lash out if they think you deserve it, often with life-altering consequences.
A cotton
Nobody
ball.
demonstrated panda potential more than straight at the Beijing Zoo, a young panda named Gugu. In 2006, a drunk dude climbed into the enclosure to give Gugu a hug, and Gugu gave him an attitude adjustment with his teeth. After several minutes of biting each other, yes, Drunky bit the bear.
Isn't that not what you get for going into an enclosure with a wild animal, technically?
They were eventually separated with a fire hose. In 2007, a teenager tried Gugu and got chunks ripped out of his legs to the point where bones were showing. And in 2009, a father climbed over a barrier to retrieve a toy his son dropped. His reward was his leg caught in Gugu's
See, I don't understand, like,
had to pry open. I really think if
here's the thing. It's like the #1 safety when you go to any zoo, any animal or whatever. You do not go into their enclosure. That's like the #1 thing that's preached.
pandas didn't wear the makeup, y'all would not be trying them like this. The worst part
Have a
about getting
wonderful
mauled
night,
by something
Dragon.
so
Take
goofy is
care.
it probably takes a long time for bystanders
for
to realize
stopping
they're in
in.
trouble. They're the epitome of, I'm not a killer, but don't push me. And for that, they get a Merc rating of 4. Because really, if you get flatlined by a panda, you
Yeah, but you're
probably
not
deserve
hugging a
it. Now we got
panda.
the black bear, aka the fight back part of the rhyme. Which is kinda true. Black bears are more likely to run away than run a fade. And after seeing them climb trees, thank the
Holy
natural order for
moly!
that. Although they probably only learned
He
that from
climbs the
dealing
tree
with
so
another
quickly.
bear down the list. Black bears are high-key champion generalists. They're smart enough and adaptable enough to live almost anywhere in America. They're not always black, but that's besides the point. Moonlighting as a giant raccoon means they run into people more than the average bear, and if you look at the numbers,
Did I say
they might not be as harmless as the nursery rhyme.
this is the bear I have in my yard all the time, or in my neighborhood. We have like a thingy, an inflection of black bears where I live.
Suggests. Since 1784, there have been 66 times where a black bear and a human resulted in one less human. Pretty low, but there's more. There's just under 12 black bear conflicts a year. 52% are typically defensive, 33% were food motivated, and 15% were predatory. That number's interesting because that's actually higher than what you would see in brown bears. Folks now believe there's a slow but very real rise in predatory male black bears murking people. In fact, the first ever fatal black bear attack in California just happened last month. Male blacks, but black bears, that is, they have a wider range, which means a desperate down bad male is more likely to try.
This looks like the end of a movie. When like that one person's like walking away all by themselves, but instead it's the bear at the end of the movie.
The last stat I have is 88% of black bear assisted census subtractions were predatory, and 92% of those predatory pastimes were done by males. But when I say slow rise, we are still talking about one person getting clapped a year. Also, apparently none of those casualties carried pepper spray, so if you do that, hike in groups and put food and garbage away, you probably won't get cooked.
That's another thing. A lot of people do not put their food or garbage away. That is true too.
So they're flight over fight and statistically harmless, but they live in close proximity with people
Look
and
at
are
how slow
technically
he
more likely to
is.
see you as free pizza than grizzlies. So I'll give them a 6.5.
Guys, I think bears are cute.
Not unlike their Asian cousins. And disclaimer, we're getting into the legitimately dangerous territory. The Asiatic black bear, also called the moon bear, is the first
moon bear.
honest threat to
Wait, I didn't realize I knew we had the sun bear. I didn't realize that this bear was also considered a moon bear. That's a fun fact I didn't know.
way of life. They're way more on site than American black bears, and for that matter, even Eurasian brown bears. To be fair, neither of them have to deal with a certain big cat. Like most bears, they're most dangerous when
everything
people run
gets
into
related
them
back
and
to the
feels
tiger.
cornered.
Everything.
And for that reason, attacks are on the rise. From April 2023 to just November, 212 people caught the wrong end of Asiatic aggression from a black bear.
That's
6
a lot
died.
of
Food
people.
scarcity means those numbers are probably going up. In fact, that's why they're a problem in Japan. You see, in Japan, there's a shift with young people leaving the
gosh.
countryside to go make bread in the big city, and food-feeding bears moving into the now less crowded human neighborhoods. Now,
so
it's
they're-
never been easier to find problems with an
Oh.
Asian bear, and from 2000 to 2020, 2,357 black bear attacks have been recorded.
That's-
42.4% suffered
that's a
severe
massive
injury,
hike.
1.2% ended up with permanent disability, and 4.8% lost the ability to exist. They're dead.
4.8%.
And over 20% of those attacks happened in August, i.e. right around the time they're getting ready to hibernate. There was even a case earlier this year where a man had to negotiate his arm with a Swiss knife after the Asian
Oh
variety
my
refused to let him go.
gosh.
Since this is the first bear that is a somewhat regular threat to people, I'm gonna give the Asiatic black bear a 7.5. Although with the whole bear bile farming thing, we probably had it coming. And now we get to my honest inspiration for this
So Moonbear's the third ferocious? Like I said, I think he's going in ferocious order, so then our next two are like the most ferocious bears.
video. The brown bear.
The brown
Honestly,
bear.
first I'm gonna clear something up. The
Look how
grizzly
busy
bear
he
is
is.
a subspecies of the brown bear, kind of like how the Arctic wolf is an offshoot of the gray guy. The grizzly is basically a landlocked brown bear. They're
Aw,
further
look
inland,
at
and their
them
grocery list
though.
is a lot shorter, which is why, even though they're the most famous, grizzlies aren't even the biggest bears brown and around. They're smaller than the
Look at the size of that unit. Look at him.
What? The Kamchatka bear dwarfs grizzlies, mostly because of the fresh supply of salmon they get from shacking up on the Kamchatka Peninsula, which actually has the highest density of brown bears on the planet. There's like 20,000 of them there. And of course, what y'all know about the Kodiak bear? Named after the Kodiak Islands, nature was forced to vault
That's
it
a
on. They can outweigh
freaking
grizzly by
unit.
almost 500 pounds, and that's purely off the pescatarian.
Look at it compared to the grizzly bear. That's a walking unit.
That is a whole mountain of a bear. Grizzly bears are smaller, but the higher competition and being gate-kept from coastal calories makes them that much more aggressive. Which makes them, and I don't like to curse that much, my mom watches me, but that is a fucking problem. They're like a predatory Thanos. Your demise is inevitable if they greenlight it. They have jaws that can crush a bowling ball. Pause that mean. You're a high five away from balling like Emmanuel Hansel. I've seen them pump entire wolf
I
packs
knew
out
they
of
were
food, and they might be
like
the only thing alive
ferocious,
that can
but
chokeslam a moose. There's only one video that truly encapsulates how fornicated you are if a grizzly chases you.
holy.
Well, other than this, here you have a grizzly running, and way, wow, we're still going. Oh, right there, that's the caribou he's after. Keep in mind, this is the 30-second mark of the video. About 4
Holy
minutes was all it
moly.
took for the steed of Santa to get packed up like a Christmas present and turned into part of the past. But how dangerous are brown bears actually? Since 1784,
Surely
there
they're
have been only
dangerous.
82 fatal brown
Okay,
bear
well,
conflicts
that's
in North
not
America. Yellowstone surprisingly only has 8. From 2000 to 2015, there were
terrible.
a recorded 664 brown bear attacks around the world, with 95
Okay.
flatlines. Of these attacks, 17% involved someone with a dog, 10% were after a bear got shot or trapped, aka the person had it coming, 20% were sudden encounters, and an overwhelming 47% involved a female with a cub, proving that the only
Yeah.
thing more dangerous than the bear,
Boom. A child. No.
but really, numbers say there's only 11 brown bear attacks in North America
That's such an iconic use of that meme.
a
Yo.
year, 40 if we're talking
Iconic.
worldwide. In fact, the chances of getting murked by a brown bear in Yellowstone are 1
I
in
thought-
2.1.
Yeah, I was about to say, I thought it would be higher. Brown bears would have a higher flatline stat. So I'm surprised that like, what was it, 95? I'm surprised it was 95. I thought it'd be a lot higher.
Million. I do think bears
Not
suffer a
gonna
lot
lie.
from shark syndrome, where the attacks might not happen often, but when they do, they're usually graphic enough to go international. At the same time, the worst case scenario scares me more than death itself, so brown bears, specifically grizzly bears, get a Merc rating of 8. Make that an 8.5.
8
If
point.
you know,
So
you know. Now, the sloth
then,
bear is a great example
polar
of
bears
something
get like a
I always say.
9.5.
You have to convince a predator you're worth the effort, where prey will off you before you get the chance. Most bears see humans as a fellow predator. The problem is here you got one that spends most of its life as prey. Sloth bears got tiger trauma in their bloodline. They also get plenty of smoke from leopards, problems from dhole packs, and somehow the same
Look at
elephants and rhinos
him.
that are chill-ish around tigers have zero tolerance for the baloos of the world. Add it all up, you get a floppy-faced termite eater that's also one of the most violently aggressive animals on the planet. You basically have a giant honey badger with attitude and all the tools
A
to
giant
follow through.
honey
It's
badger
prey
with
trauma
attitude.
predatory hardware. They don't really know how to kill, they just inflict as much pain as physically possible. That's why many
so what I'm hearing is the sloth bear enjoys termites. He's a little insect eater type thing, but he has a temperament with everything and anything in its way. Is this what I'm hearing?
Sloth bear victims end up with their faces torn off since that's their go-to move against tigers. A trauma bear with chimpanzee tendencies means they get a Merc rating of 9. There's no good record of sloth bear attacks on people, but it's the fact that they live on top of and kill more people than other bears that outnumber them. This is technically the most dangerous bear per capita. And it's
That's
one
crazy.
named after a sloth. In fact, one sloth bear was called the man-eater of Mysore after he killed 12 people and severely mauled another 24. In his defense, something like that's pretty rare, and it's believed the bear was injured by people first and then went on a rampage.
That would make
last bear, which is
sense.
one of the few animals to see humans as prey. I'm gonna kill the suspense right now. The polar bear's a 10. From 1870 to 2014,
Look at
only
it.
20 people have been
What a majestic creature the polar bear is. Holy moly. Majestic.
killed by polar bears out of 73 attacks, but it's the frequency that's scary. What do I mean? Well, over 60% of attacks happened between 1960 and 2009. 20% happened from 2010 to 2014. That means in this study, 20% of all polar bear attacks happened in less than 3% of the time, and that less than 3% was in the
Would I
last
pet a
4
polar bear?
years.
No.
The polar bear
I
is the
would
only
not.
bear that classifies as a hyper carnivore, and they'll try anything from walruses to reindeer, and they'll even body a beluga whale.
There they are,
As
bodying
you know,
a
polar bears
beluga
are one of the
whale,
rare animals
like I
that'll
mentioned
actively hunt
earlier.
people. It's true what they say. If you see a polar bear in the wild, your expiration date's already stamped. They can smell a seal from almost 20 miles away, so you know when ice bear pulls up, it's no mistake.
They're definitely, I
The
think, one
Arctic
of my
otter is
favorite
such a threat.
animals.
In
They're
Churchill,
up there.
Manitoba, it's common courtesy to leave car doors unlocked in case someone needs a 4-wheeled panic room from a polar bear. The same place, by the way, that has the Churchill
If not
Polar
friend
Bear
wide, friend
Detention
shaped.
Center. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's an air-conditioned temporary holding cell for polar bears that get way too comfortable around people. No other bear is more of a certified homicide once you make eye
Look at
contact.
it
But they
swim.
wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't for receding sea ice, basically stranding a marine mammal on land. And like with black bears, it's a starving, desperate rogue males that are most likely to turn a human into a hashtag. And that's kind of the thing. Every bear on this list would easily put humans at a 10. Like I said, Asiatic black bears are the most
Imagine
common
living
victims of bear bile
just in the
farms.
Arctic by
Sloth
your
bears often
lonesome
kept as
self
dancing tourist traps,
every
which
single
involves
day.
brutal maimings and shoving a rope through their nose.
Okay.
Literally through it. And despite
Ew.
the memes, humanity has done more to pandas
That
than
is-
for
you're
them.
just
Also,
asking
there's the
for
fact
it.
that most bears want nothing to do with you. Literally, one of the best ways to avoid a bear is to actually make noise to give the bear a chance to avoid you. Most bear brutalities come from a bear getting jump scared and making a decision. Also, there's bear spray, but bear spray is a lot like a seatbelt. You don't get into a car expecting to do a barrel roll down I-80, but the same way the seatbelt makes the worst case better, so does bear spray. In fact, you'll probably never use it. Moral of the story? Yeah, honestly, the bear wouldn't even choose us. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video.
The
If you
bear
walk with a
wouldn't
Merc
even
rating, I
choose
actually have
us.
An entire book on the concept. 100 animals.
It's
that can,
so
you
over.
can read the title. And again, each animal has a rating based on my personal
That's
bias.
not bad though.
And
I
because
figured the
today's
polar
my
bear was going to be like a
birthday, the book will be
9.5, 10.
52% off
And
on
he's
Amazon.
straight.
If
He's
you're
a straight
interested, the link will
10.
be in the description.
He's a straight little ferocious little guy. Actually, he's not a little guy. He's a massive guy. But he's a straight 10. A big boy. Hi, Alexi. Guys, did you learn something about bears? There's the Canton Affairs of the Canine Family. Dog Eat Dog World. Want to learn about the canine family? That's what I recommend it right now. And then Rotten Lobster causes restaurant to call an ambulance is also my recommended right now. That nose bear should have killed. I wouldn't be surprised if he does lash out. When you do shit like that to an animal, like you're just asking for repercussions type thing. Not asking, but you should expect it. You're gonna have an irritated animal for doing stuff like that. Anyways, I hope you guys learned something new about bears, and if you didn't, I'm sorry, but I hope you did, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did like the video, press that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys all on the flip side. Have a fantastic evening, and thank you for hanging out with me.